Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out for the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got lots of big news I'd like to share with you today. So, last night, Russia launched a massive attack onto Ukraine. Over 50 missiles of various types were fired into Ukraine, also, upwards of almost 200 drones also entering their territory. And you can see here on your screen, Russia attacks Ukraine's energy and gas infrastructure in multiple regions. Russia attacked energy facilities with missiles and drones during the night, hobbling the country's ability to deliver heat and light to its citizens and to power weapons factories vital to its defenses. Okay, so we knew this was coming sometime soon. And this literally came just days after we heard that the U.S. Cut off intelligence sharing for Ukraine. So it's going to make it very difficult for Ukraine to detect any incoming missiles into their territory. I'm sure also drones as well, or any oncoming attacks that are about to happen from Russia. So we did have lots of reports, multiple regions being hit last night, lots of energy and gas storage facilities being hit. We had power outages reported in multiple regions as well. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. This is a video coming out from Kharkiv as a ballistic missile struck Kharkiv. It looks like it hit a residential building and it caught on fire. You can see here we had people being injured. I believe some even killed as well. So definitely a massive attack to report last night on Ukraine. Also reports as well at the same time Ukraine was also launching their own attack into like Crimea. Krasnodar region, I think, was also being targeted, and some eastern regions of Ukraine that are currently Russia controlled were also attacked. Ukraine launched a pretty massive drone attack also, and explosions being heard in Crimea. We had several of the air bases down there, like Baalbek Airfield, that's held by the Russians, was attacked last night. And also Sea Baby drones, the Magura V5 naval drones, were also launching FPV drones off the tops of them. I think we had an air defense system, one or two of them that were attacked last night down in Crimea. So lots of news to cover today. We're also going to give you a major update coming out from the Kursk region. That's not too good for Ukraine. So let's go ahead and jump into this, guys. Lots of news to dive into. We're going to start off here on X with Anton Gerashenko. Last night, Russia launched yet another massive attack on Ukraine, targeting residential buildings, civilian energy, and gas infrastructure of Ukraine. Explosions were heard in Kharkiv, Ternopil, Odessa, Ivano-Frankivsk, Sumy, Poltava, Vinnytsia, Dnipropetrovsk, Chernihiv, and Khmelnytsky, if I'm saying that right, regions. According to Air Force's strategic bombers and ships carrying calibers took part in the strike. In addition, Russia's hit with ballistic missiles, KABs, which are guided aerial bombs, and Shahed drones. According to preliminary data, Russians hit Kharkiv with ballistic missiles. The number of injured has increased to 8, the Kharkiv Regional Prosecutor's Office has said. In addition to a critical infrastructure building and a residential building, 10 garages and 5 cars were burning. So you can see a lot was damaged in Kharkiv last night. In Ternopil, gas shutdowns were reported due to a hit on an industrial facility. 2 out of 6 missiles hit the gas transportation network in the region. 4 missiles were shot down by air defense forces. The head of the regional military administration reported. So, also something to note is we just heard within the last couple of days, CNN was reporting. Also, Ukraine came out stating that they were low on Patriot air defense missiles. So that's going to make it difficult for them to bring down a lot of these incoming missiles into their territory. And many of these were not shot down last night. Ukraine brought down a good majority, but a lot of them definitely made it into the country. Explosions were also heard in Ivano-Frankivsk region. Infrastructure facilities were attacked. Domestic gas pipeline was damaged in district of Poltava region. There are injured, the regional administration said. Military administration said, unfortunately, 2 people are injured, among them a child. They were hospitalized. Several private residential houses and a domestic gas pipeline are also damaged. The number of disconnected subscribers is being clarified, the message said. In Chernihiv region, one of the production facilities was damaged during the attack. In Odessa region, there were fires in private residential houses. Critical infrastructure was also damaged. So you can see multiple regions being hit last night with drones and missiles. We've got a video coming out from Ukraine showing lots of homes being destroyed and on fire. Take a look at this. All right, so energy facilities being hit last night, gas storage facilities, also many people's homes being hit, residential buildings, lots of infrastructure in Ukraine was destroyed last night during this attack. So let's jump to our next update now with Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Last night, the Russian army carried out another massive attack on our energy infrastructure. Various facilities were targeted in several regions: Odessa, Poltava, Cherniv, and Ternopil. In total, the Russians used nearly 70 missiles, both cruise and ballistic, as well as almost 200 attack drones. All of this was directed against infrastructure that ensures normal life. Currently, repair and restoration work is ongoing wherever needed. Unfortunately, ordinary residential buildings have also been damaged. In Kharkiv, a Russian missile hit close to an apartment building. People were injured. They are receiving the necessary assistance. Today, F 16 fighter jets and Mirage aircraft provided by France were used to protect Ukrainian skies. In particular, the Mirages successfully intercepted Russian cruise missiles. Thank you. I also want to recognize the performance of our anti-aircraft missile forces, Army Aviation, all our electronic warfare units, and mobile fire groups. Okay, so that's big news. First time we've reported that the Mirage fighter jets that come from France have actually taken down some incoming missiles to their territory. Apparently, also F 16 fighter jets were involved in bringing down these missiles as well. First steps toward real peace must include forcing the sole source of this war, Russia, to stop such attacks against life, and this is something that can be effectively monitored. Silence in the skies, banning the use of missiles, long-range drones, and aerial bombs, and silence at sea, a real guarantee of normal navigation. Ukraine is ready to pursue the path of peace, and it is Ukraine that strives for peace from the very first second of this war. The task is to force Russia to stop the war. Okay, so we got a few photos coming out here from Zelensky today. You can see damage here, a firefighter heading over to clean up some of the mess and rescue people that could be trapped in any rubble if buildings were destroyed. Here's another photo coming out from Ukraine. And also we can see it looks like somebody's home or some sort of building was destroyed here also. Okay, so definitely lots of damage in Ukraine last night to report. Here's also a diagram coming out from Max 24, approximate movement of Russian air targets during a massive attack on Ukraine. So we can see the different areas that were targeted here. Looks like Kharkiv. We got the Sumy region that was attacked with missiles. This looks like Poltava here, Odessa, and over here even on the western side of Ukraine, close to the Lviv region. There's lots of gas storage located on the western side of their country. That's probably what Russia was going after last night. So you can see kind of the trajectory of these different missiles that were incoming to their territory and some of the drones as well. Now moving on to World Source News 24/7. Civilian building was hit in Kharkiv, Ukraine overnight. So here's that video that I had for you guys on the waiting screen. Just pull it up full screen real quick, let you see this. Now we had a missile that landed really close to a residential building. I think the building took some damage also, and we had a fire that broke out soon after, okay? So pretty scary, that missile landing almost directly on top of this residential building here that could have definitely injured or killed many people if it hit the building. All right, now from Bliskovka, the Russian army broke through the Ukrainian defense line south of Sutsa in the Kursk region. According to a military officer from one of the units operating in this area in Kursk region, the defense forces are currently trying to stabilize the situation. In short, this is the area where our units are trying to hold back the enemy in order not to be threatened with partial or complete encirclement, this military said. Okay, so very bad news coming out from the Kursk region of Russia. We're going to be talking about this area right here. The Russians punched through here almost all the way to the border of Ukraine. And these soldiers that are in this area are effectively cut off from the other batch of soldiers up here. And Sutsa's right here, so just a little bit south of Sutsa is where this happened at. And there is some reports that these were North Korean soldiers also involved in this major attack and severing many supply lines from the southern side of this offensive up to the northern side. So that's not good news. It looks like they do have this major highway they can still use to get into this area, but still it's going to make it very difficult for Ukraine to regain this portion back. And I'm not sure how Russia was able to punch through here, but they did it very quickly overnight. So look at this from Jurgen Audit. Bad news from Kursk. The Russians have cut off most of the Ukrainian bridgehead in the Kursk region from the border, according to Deep State. The enemy managed to do this by using a significant number of servicemen of the armed forces of the North Korean Republic. Okay, so that'd be the North Koreans. Currently, almost all roads to Sutsa are either closed or under fire. We are waiting for more information. Okay, so yeah, not too much coming out, but you can see here where the Russians originally started to punch through, and then they made it all the way down almost to the border here. Okay, so that's not good. That's more territory that Ukraine is losing up here in the Kursk region. And we heard recently, just in the last couple weeks, Ukraine had launched some counteroffensives over here. Doesn't look like it was anything super significant. They did gain some territory up here, mainly on the southeastern portion over here, which is right where Russia punched through, which is interesting that it's happening around this same time. But yeah, it looks like the Russians did gain some territory over here and effectively cut off these two sections. So we'll see how that turns out. I'll give you guys more updates if we get more info on that later. Now from Bricktop NAFO, total chaos on Russian Telegram and Ukrainian UAVs as Ukrainian UAVs start to hammer Crimea, Lipetsk, Tambov, Belgorod, Rostov, Tula, and Ryazan regions. Massive Ukrainian attack on the Russians. So this was being reported last night inside of Russia. Russian Telegram bloggers were just freaking out as Ukraine was just launching a huge drone attack onto Russia, Crimea, multiple other regions being attacked at the same time. You can see all these different regions here. And also, we've got a map here from Max 24 drone attack on occupied Crimea and Russia. Here's a map from Drone Bomber. So you can see the direction of many of these drones, lots of them heading down here to Crimea. We got a few towards Krasnodar Krai region, and some were over here in the eastern side of Ukraine, also heading into the Rostov region, maybe Volgograd. We don't really have any reports of Rostov or Volgograd being hit, or Krasnodar Krai, at least at this time, but we know many regions were being targeted last night. But primarily, Crimea is what we were hearing explosions out of. So we've got a video here from PS01, glowing fire at Belbek Airfield per video report. So this is a video coming out that was showing some fire over here at the Baalbek Airfield. Okay, this is one of the major airfields. I think it's close to Sevastopol, inside of Crimea, southwestern Crimea. And we heard multiple explosions were going off at that airfield last night. So it looks like it was under a massive UAV drone attack from Ukraine. So that was a video coming out showing some sort of fire that broke out over there. Also from Anton Gurushenko, Crimean Telegram channels report a drone attack and explosions in the area of Belbek Airfield in Russian-occupied Crimea. So we actually have a video with sound here too. 6 seconds long, you're going to hear an explosion in the area of Belbek Airfield. Take a look at this. Okay, so you really can't see much. The video is blurred, probably for privacy purposes, but we did have an explosion of a drone over here. Not sure if it was a drone that was taken down. It kind of looks like it's in the skies whenever it blows up, but we did have a drone entering into this area. So there were a lot of attacks going on in Crimea last night as Ukraine was launching probably hundreds of drones over there. Now for Max 24, Luhansk, Bavovna. Okay, this is in eastern Ukraine and occupied Russian territory. And we had an explosion over here too. So it looks like some drones were also launched into the Luhansk region, which we did see on that map just a minute ago, that drones were heading this direction. So something got blown up over here as well, and someone is able to capture a photo of that for you guys. So not sure exactly what it was that was hit, but if we get more information, I'll let you guys know on that later. Now we're going to move on to next. Trump has threatened Russia with massive sanctions because it is pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now. Has your head started spinning from these flip-flops yet? So I thought this was interesting. This was a new statement coming out from Trump today, and we'll read this. Based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, I'm strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions, and tariffs on Russia, okay? Russia, not Ukraine, until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached. To Russia and Ukraine, get to the table right now before it is too late. Okay, so we already know lots of pressure is being put on Ukraine right now. Aid's been cut off to Ukraine. Intelligence has been cut off to Ukraine. Now he's threatening sanctions onto Russia because Russia's been launched a major attack onto Ukraine just this morning. As we know, more than 50 missiles were fired at Ukraine, almost 200 drones, and now he's coming out and saying that he's going to sanction Russia and put tariffs on them and put just economic pain and pressure on Russia to get them to the table and negotiate with Ukraine today. So I thought that was interesting. Soon after that, we had this report coming out from Bloomberg from Visioner. Russia is willing to discuss a temporary truce in Ukraine provided there is progress towards a final peace settlement. Okay, so now we've got Russia all of a sudden coming out. Not sure why that doesn't want to load, but just a picture of Zelensky and Vladimir Putin. Then we got Trump in the background. Yeah, so apparently Russia's now all of a sudden willing to discuss a temporary truce as soon as we're hearing that Trump wants to put major sanctions on Russia. So I'm not sure what's going on in the background over here, but Trump is definitely going all over the place. I kind of agree with Nexto when he's saying he's flip flopping. One minute he's putting pressure on Ukraine, next minute on Russia, but maybe he is just trying to play the middleman in some aspects, where he is trying to put pressure on both sides. You can kind of see that as well. But yeah, so today he's coming out just saying we're going to sanction Russia like crazy, put tariffs on them, economically hurt their country if they do not start negotiating with Ukraine. So we know right now Trump is really trying to press hard to get both these two to start negotiating, try to end this war. We'll see what happens, but pretty crazy stories coming out today. Now for Vice Grad 24 breaking, EU member states pledge another 16.3 billion US dollars in aid for Ukraine at the emergency summit in Brussels. Okay, this was announced just today. And we talked about the emergency summit yesterday. Zelensky was there, and it looks like this was another major announcement. 16.3 billion US dollars. Okay, so the European Union, excuse me, is stepping up big time for Ukraine right now and supporting them with massive amounts of aid to continue this war if need be. Okay, so that's a huge update coming out today. Now for Max 24 again, Ukraine's allies split over seizing $300 billion in frozen Russian assets to help Ukraine, according to Wall Street Journal. Some want confiscation, while others fear the financial consequences and risky precedent. As U.S. support wanes, the debate heats up. Poland and the Baltics want confiscation. Germany, France, and Italy fear economic backlash and legal precedents. The G7 plans to provide a $50 billion loan secured by profits from those assets. Okay, so we're expecting a $50 billion loan from the G7 pretty soon. But at the same time, it looks like they were not able to agree on seizing these 300 billion in frozen Russian assets and giving it to Ukraine. They've been talking about that for a while now. Looks like the EU is split on that. They're trying to figure out whether to do so right now. So we'll find out if that happens to be a thing. Also from Nexta again, the UK has transferred nearly $1 billion to Ukraine from frozen Russian assets. £752 million, around $971 million tranche was issued under the G7 ERA initiative. The program allows Ukraine to receive loans covered by profits from blocked Russian funds. British funds will be used to strengthen the army, said Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal. We expect that in the future, all frozen Russian assets will be confiscated and transferred to Ukraine. All right, so $1 billion in support for Ukraine coming from the UK in regards to frozen Russian assets also. And on top of that, Denis Shmyhal here, the Prime Minister of Ukraine, is stating that he expects that they will eventually receive this $300 billion in frozen Russian assets. We'll see if they get that in the future. So now moving on to Max 24, we plan to introduce a mechanism so that by the end of the year, every adult male will be trained in the case of war, according to Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Okay, this was reportedly something he also stated just in the last 24 hours. And we know Poland's stepping up big right now, and it's pretty crazy. They're planning on preparing their citizens for war. Okay, Europe is getting ready. They are preparing themselves for war with Russia in the future. They're maximizing their defense spending. They're doing as much as they can for Ukraine to help them defeat Russia, even without the support of the U.S. So that looks like this is the way this war is going to go now. If we don't get a negotiated settlement between Ukraine and Russia sometime soon, Europe looks like they're going to try to fund this as much as possible to help Ukraine out to try to win this war. So very interesting news today. Also for Vice Grad 24 breaking, Lithuania becomes the first EU country to leave the convention banning cluster munitions. It has also announced it's leaving the convention banning anti-personnel mines. Poland could be the next country to leave the convention banning anti-personnel mines. Okay, so these are some big moves right here too. This is another sign that Europe is preparing for war. Okay, Lithuania is pulling out of the convention, banning cluster munitions and also anti-personnel mines. Poland's thinking about doing the same thing. This is where they realize that this types of munitions is going to be important if they go to war with Russia in the future, and possibly also for deterrence as well. These cluster munitions have already been used inside of Ukraine. We've been seeing a lot of these used in the Kursk region, also in the eastern side of Ukraine. We've shown you guys video footage like this before. They drop a lot of these small little bomblets. I think even the ATACMS missiles have some cluster munitions inside of them too. So pretty crazy news there also. Now from Igor Sushko, Russia diesel locomotive on fire at the Staroyolskoye railway station in Belgorod region. Okay, so yet again, another locomotive on fire again. Was this the act of saboteurs, Ukrainian saboteurs inside the Belgorod region? This is just over the border of Kharkiv. in the Russian territory. So take a look at this real quick. All right, so we've reported dozens of locomotives inside of Russia just catching on fire many times. A lot of the times they're actually burned down purposely by arsonists or saboteurs that may be fighting on behalf of Ukraine, or partisan groups in these areas catching these trains on fire. So, yet again, another locomotive on fire again today, this time in the Belgorod region. All right, now also from Ilya Ponomarenko, if I'm pronouncing that right. Fresh poll. Zelensky currently has 67 support rating in Ukraine. That's an increase from 52% in December. Okay, so a new poll coming out today that Zelensky's support inside of Ukraine from the citizens is actually growing right now. You can see it was around May 2022. We were at 90%. It was falling for several years. Once we got to about December of 2024 last year. So in the last 3 months, he went from 52% approval rating all the way up to 67. So right now, his approval rating is starting to go back up, and people are starting to show trust in Volodymyr Zelensky. Okay, so is that possibly so that way he can stay in and not get removed? We'll see what happens here, but there's been a lot of talk about elections being held inside of Ukraine. Donald Trump wants elections in there right now. Get Zelensky out of there, get somebody else in. But his trust rating is growing right now, so I thought that was interesting today. Now for Max 24, the situation regarding the mineral deal with Ukraine remains unstable. It remains to be seen whether Zelensky will support the peace agreement. Okay, this was from Scott Bessent today, who's the U.S. Treasury Secretary. So he stated this, that it doesn't look like right now we're going to see a peace agreement. I mean, there's definitely been a 1 week, almost 2 week delay now since the last time they talked about trying to sign a peace agreement. Then we had this meeting in the Oval Office that did not go very well at all. And now U.S. and Ukrainian relations are not really on a good footing right now. So don't think we're going to be seeing any kind of a peace agreement. And I wonder if this is just going to completely go away at some point, and maybe Ukraine and Russia will not sign a peace agreement at all. And Ukraine might just kind of go along with Europe now, as we're starting to see the U.S. pull their support away from Europe as well, and distance themselves from Europe. So Ukraine is definitely standing alongside Europe more than the U.S. right now. So we might not even see that happen. We'll see. Now from Jurgen Nonnet, unbelievable. The American company Maxar has suspended Ukraine's access to its satellite imagery services, according to the military. The company cited an administrative request as the official reason. This confirms that the Trump administration, through the State Department, has banned American companies and commercial services from providing satellite data to Ukraine. This is probably due to what we heard just a couple days ago, where sharing of intelligence was cut off to Ukraine from the U.S. I think the U.K. was also being blocked, at least temporarily, from providing satellite intelligence or just shared intelligence with Ukraine in general. So this company, Maxar, I've actually shown you guys satellite images coming out from Russia sometimes. Whenever we have major hits inside of Russia, we'll get satellite images coming out from Maxar. So it looks like we're not going to be seeing those anymore, as Ukraine is not going to have access to satellite imagery from this company anymore, most likely from the Trump administration blocking intelligence. Okay, so that's not good news. Now from Igor Sushko, President Trump says Ukraine will make a deal because they don't have a choice. The U.S. has now played all its cards by terminating all support for Ukraine, but the gambit failed. Europe will now mobilize at lightning speed and help Ukraine defeat Russia without U.S. involvement. Let me know what you guys think on that. Do you guys think that that's the way this is going? It kind of seems like that to me. Europe is just kind of taking the lead here and saying, you know what, forget the U.S. We don't need them anymore. We'll just do it ourselves. We'll go ahead and finance this war for Ukraine. Will they be able to? I mean, it looks like they're coughing up a lot of money right now. And now we had a statement coming out from Trump where he's kind of just saying that Zelensky and Vladimir Putin need to agree on some sort of agreement to end this war, and because they have to is basically what he's saying. They have no choice. Take a look at this.
When Zelensky inevitably comes back to the White House, what do you expect from him, and do you think you'll see him in a necktie?
Well, I think what's going to happen is Ukraine wants to make a deal because I don't think they have a choice. I also think that Russia wants to make a deal because in a different way that only I know, they have no choice either.
When Zelensky...
Okay, so I apologize. That video is not very loud. I had it turned up as high as I possibly could get it for you guys. So you heard what he said there. that Zelensky's got to make a decision on this negotiation settlement with Ukraine because they have no choice. And then he also said that Russia has no choice, but only in a way that he knows that Russia has no choice but to end this war as well. So let me know what you think he might be talking about when he states that Russia. He knows something about Russia that nobody else knows, why they have to end the war sometime soon. Also, do you think it's due to, massive sanctions coming down on Russia pretty soon? Is their economy falling apart? We know that we've been kind of seeing information coming out from Russia that their economy's not doing well. Or what's going to happen here? Let me know what you guys think about that. But that was a statement coming out yesterday, actually, yesterday afternoon. Now, from next, Zelensky won't apologize to Trump after White House meeting because there is nothing to apologize for. Presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak stated that Zelensky was right both in form and substance as he tried to convey the key message to Trump. Without pressure on Russia, nothing will work. Podolyak also rejected claims that Zelensky was humiliated at the White House, instead calling the conversation a highly emotional and productive discussion. So, yeah, we're not expecting any kind of apology coming out from Zelensky, at least not right now. I've been seeing so many reports on this, and the Trump administration has been calling on Zelensky to come out and apologize for this argument that they had together. You can see they were both heated right here. They were interrupting each other a lot, and they're not willing to move forward with any kind of mineral agreement unless Ukraine actually comes out and apologizes. Obviously, Zelensky has to do that. So yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing that coming from Zelensky. And then it makes me wonder if maybe we're not going to see any kind of minerals agreement either. But let me know what you guys think. All right, now from Max 24, Zelensky will not attend the meeting of Ukrainian American delegations on Tuesday, according to Fox News. Okay, so reportedly this coming Tuesday, we're going to see Ukraine and America meeting together. I think it's going to be in Riyadh again, or Riyadh, I think is how you pronounce it, in Saudi Arabia. And they're going to be meeting down there to discuss ending this war. And this is going to be one of the first meetings that we see Ukrainian and American delegation meeting to discuss any terms of a ceasefire with Russia and Ukraine. But it looks like Zelensky is not going to attend. So I wonder what that might mean. That maybe we're not going to hear anything significant coming from this talk down here. And does that possibly signal that Zelensky is not willing to attend because maybe he doesn't want to make any kind of a deal right now? That maybe he's not ready yet. But you guys let me know what you think of why Zelensky may not be attending. Some people were saying too, just kind of hypothetically speaking, that maybe something might happen to his plane or something, or they might try to take him out as he's trying to head over there. So maybe that's why he doesn't want to be traveling over there right now. But that was just some people kind of throwing some thoughts around on X today. But let me know what you guys think. Now for Max 24, F-16s and Mirage 2000s were involved in repelling the attack. Ukrainian air defense shot down 100 out of 194 Russian drones, 86 UAVs suppressed by electronic warfare, 25 out of 35 KH-101 and KH-555 missiles, 8 out of 8 caliber cruise missiles, 0 out of 3 Iskander-M and KN-23 missiles, 0 out of 4 S-300 ballistic missiles, 1 out of 8 KH-59-69 cruise missiles. Okay, so you can see a lot of these missiles not even being shot down last night, especially the ballistic missiles. Here's that diagram to show the massive attack onto Ukraine last night. So roughly about close to 50 to 70 missiles fired into Ukraine, and also upwards of 200 drones entering Ukraine last night as well. So definitely a massive attack. All right, now our final update of the day from the Kyiv Independent. These are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of March 7th, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Okay, final update of the day. Russia's losses as of March 7th, 1,150 troops, 23 AFVs, 72 vehicles and fuel tanks, 3 tanks, 16 artillery systems, 95 UAVs, and it looks like that's it. So on top of this massive attack coming from Russia last night, we didn't see too much equipment being destroyed on the Russia side once again, and it looks like these numbers just continue to decline. Even the troop numbers back down to close to 1,100, 23 AFVs, a little bit average here, but only 72 vehicles and fuel tanks. Okay, at some point we were seeing upwards of 170 to 200 for pretty consistently for weeks. Now we've been seeing closer to around 100 or even less, and today only 72, and only 3 tanks again over the last 24 hours. I think just the other day we only had like 5 or so, and 16 artillery systems. So really not much being destroyed. Maybe this is due to that massive attack last night because Russia launched such a big attack onto Ukraine. Maybe they didn't have to launch so many operations. They probably kept their heads down while Russia was launching all these missiles and drones into Ukraine's territory. But tons of huge news coming out today, guys. I want to thank you very much for tuning in for this update to the very end of the video if you're still here. And I hope you guys all have a great day and enjoy your Friday out there. Get ready for your weekend. So if you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.